The jungle breathed like a living thing. Dense blue mist clung to the ground, coiling around the ruined obsidian pylons like fingers unwilling to let go. Somewhere deeper in the undergrowth, something massive shifted, branches cracked, a low snarl rippled the air. Sergeant Cam Reyes didn't flinch. One knee pressed into the damp moss, he adjusted the scope on his rifle, eyes sharp behind a visor scratched by a dozen campaigns. "Still no visuals on the delegate's escort," he muttered. "Rover 6, confirm my feed." A crackle. Then, confirmed. "Delegate Kale and the Elgarian envoy are approaching the obelisk." Still no sign of the Skarn bodyguard. "Keep your eyes open." Reyes exhaled slowly, finger near the trigger. The mission was supposed to be symbolic, a handshake between species once at war. A human diplomat and an Elgarian high speaker, meeting on a neutral moon to sign the Accord of Serenity. But when the Elgarians brought their apex predator for ceremonial protection, Command got nervous. They deployed Reyes, because when talks went sideways he didn't. Then, through the veil of vines, it appeared. 7 feet tall. Jet black plating glinting with iridescent hues. 2 forward-facing eyes glowed low amber, fixed on the humans. The Skarn didn't walk, it glided, shoulders rolling like liquid steel, claws tapping against obsidian. Its presence reeked of quiet violence. Reyes had seen these creatures in combat reports. Genetically crafted assassins. Fast. Efficient. Zero hesitation. It turned its head toward Reyes' position, sniffing the air. For a second, the forest held its breath. Then the Skarn stopped. Eyes locked on Reyes. It blinked once, slow, deliberate. Delegate Kale broke the silence. "Sergeant Reyes, stand down. It's not hostile." Reyes didn't lower his rifle. "It hasn't blinked since it saw me." "That's not peace talk body language." The Skarn stepped forward. "Don't," Reyes warned, voice dropping. But instead of lunging, the Skarn crouched. Not an attack stance. Submission. Everyone froze. The Elgarian high speaker, draped in ceremonial bone silk, hissed. "What is this? Vrass'kai, you will maintain formation." The Skarn didn't move. Its voice came out gravel deep, unnatural in how articulate it was. "This human is unknown." Kale stepped forward. "Unknown how?" The Skarn's eyes never left Reyes. "He carries the scent. The old blood. The ones who commanded us." Reyes frowned. "What the hell are you talking about?" The Skarn shifted its posture again, no longer animal, no longer apex. It looked deferential. "I was not born. I was forged," it said. "And we were taught to remember only one fear. One smell. The ones who came before the stars. The ones who walked in your skin." The forest seemed to tilt. Kale's voice faltered. "What do you mean walked in our skin?" The Skarn didn't answer. Instead, it dropped to one knee. Bowed its head. "To this one I return." 100 protocols shattered in Reyes' mind. His grip on the rifle loosened. "You're kneeling." I recognize the command strand in his blood. It speaks, even through time. The Elgarians stirred, visibly unsettled. Their envoys' spines flicked in alarm. Kale's voice was measured. "Sergeant, this wasn't in the briefing." "No kidding." High Speaker Tavern snapped. "Vrass'kai! Stand down or be decommissioned!" The Skarn raised its eyes, amber burning brighter. "No. The accord is null. You allied with broken kings. I have seen the true strand." "What strand?" Reyes asked, stepping forward despite every instinct screaming otherwise. The Skarn didn't blink. "The Warmakers. You call them myths. But they carved the galaxies with fire. They wore flesh like yours and bred us to kill their enemies." Kale turned pale. "Are you saying humans created the Skarn?" The jungle rumbled with distant movement, more Skarn, awakened by ancestral memory. "I don't know what you're talking about," Reyes said, jaw tight. "But I'm not your maker. I'm just a grunt who's seen too much death." The Skarn tilted its head. "Yet your scent pulls the leash." You are not the ones we were taught to hate. Kale raised a hand, trying to ease the tension. Let's not escalate this. We can contact command. Reyes interrupted. Kale, we need to leave. Now. But it was already too late. The trilene ruptured as 3 more Skarn entered, drawn by instinct. The lead one froze mid-stride as it saw Reyes. Then, slowly, it too knelt. Tavrin's eyes widened. This is sacrilege. You are Apex, unbowed. The second Skarn spoke. He walks with the breath of the origin. Enough! The Elgarian shrieked, pulling a shock spear from his cloak. Reyes raised his rifle. Don't! The air crackled. Tension surged like a power line about to snap. The Elgarian swung the spear at the nearest kneeling Skarn, furious, unthinking. It didn't move. It let the spear crash into its shoulder. Didn't even flinch. Tavrin looked down at his weapon. Then up at the motionless predator. Something shifted. The kneeling Skarn raised one arm and caught the Elgarian's wrist, gently. No force. Just control. Like a parent stilling a child. Tavrin trembled. I have chosen, the Skarn said softly. Then the forest answered back. Dozens of Skarn, hidden until now, emerged silently from the mist. Not to attack. To kneel. All facing Reyes. Delegate Kale stepped beside him, whispering low. Cam, what the hell is happening? Reyes stared out at a field of apex killers, bowing as if to a returning king. I don't know, he said. But we just became the most dangerous species in the galaxy, again. A cold wind pushed through the clearing. Not natural. Not wild. Remembered. In every corner of the forest, the Skarn were still, awaiting something more ancient than war, more primal than fear. Recognition. And whatever command still echoed in Reyes' DNA, it had just been reawakened. The dropship touched down in the dust-blown basin of Outpost Helion with a hiss of reverse thrusters. Overhead, black clouds churned against the faded red sky, static blooming in the clouds like bruises. Sergeant Reyes stepped off the ramp, eyes narrowed against the wind. Behind him, Kale followed, clutching a shaking datapad. The Skarn, vrass'kai, moved silently beside them, cloaked now in a civilian compression field, its form blurred slightly by the tech. Still massive. Still lethal. But unseen. At least for now. Explain to me again, Kale said, voice tight. Why you brought the damn thing here? Reyes didn't break stride. Because the Elgarians called us liars. They accused us of tech splicing their Apex unit. Of triggering some pre-programmed heresy. They're calling for tribunal action. Kale exhaled sharply. And you thought the best response was to waltz into a joint human outpost with the living weapon they just disowned? Reyes stopped in front of the checkpoint guard. Need clearance for 3, he said. Race. Kale. And non-classified civilian asset. The guard stared. That shimmer's not fooling anyone, sir. vrass'kai stepped forward, still cloaked. The guard's hand inched toward his holster. Reyes raised one palm. Don't. Just scan him in. No weapons. No threat. I'll sign it under my badge. The scanner beeped. The gate opened. Kale leaned close as they walked. This is a career killer, Cam. You know that? I already died once on Car-this V. Reyes replied. Since then, I only care about truth. And this one has answers we're not supposed to have. They entered the facility's debriefing chamber. Glass walls, steel seats, neural dampeners humming in the ceiling. Neutral ground. Waiting inside, Commander Anya Velen. Hard-eyed, silver-braided, hands clasped behind her back. You brought it here? She said without preamble. Reyes nodded. It followed me. I didn't invite it. She studied vrass'kai. So the Elgarians are right? Their apex predator switched sides? No. He never had a side, Reyes replied. He was waiting. And somehow, he saw something in me. Something old. vrass'kai spoke, voice calm. I saw command. Velen's eyes flicked toward the creature. Define that. vrass'kai tilted its head. Before the silence. Before the fractures. We were leashed. Coded to obey only one genetic thread. I found it in him. Kale sat down, slowly. We've never had genetic command tech like that. Not in any records. Reyes looked between them. Then the records are lying. Velen's tone shifted. If he's telling the truth, this isn't just a diplomatic breakdown. This is pre-galactic history rewriting itself. vrass'kai turned its head toward her. Not rewriting. Awakening. Before Velen could respond, the alert chimed. Code Black, external breach. Dockside. Unauthorized Elgarian transport inbound. Kale's datapad vibrated. He read the incoming message, face draining of color. They're here. No clearance. No response. Not diplomatic. Not friendly. Velen turned to Reyes. Get him out of here. Where? Off-world. Now. If the Elgarians are breaking treaty, then this is a war trigger. Reyes grabbed Kale's arm. Come on. We need to move. But vrass'kai remained still. They will not let him leave. Yeah, Reyes said grimly. I figured. Down the corridor, emergency lights snapped on, red strobes painting the walls and pulses. The sound of boots echoed from above. Fast. Coordinated. Kale clutched the wall. This is a kill-op. vrass'kai's shimmer dropped. The Skarn stood tall, shoulders back, eyes glowing with a steady, golden hue. I will end this, it said. Reyes shook his head. No. That's what they want. A massacre they can spin. We need evidence. Proof. vrass'kai looked at him, unreadable. Then we must show restraint. It reached to the back of its neck and twisted something under its armor. The shimmer re-engaged, but this time not to conceal. To transmit. A burst of pale light pulsed outward from the Skarn's core, passing through the walls like smoke through glass. What was that? Velen asked, alarmed. vrass'kai answered. Beacon flare. To others like me. Kale frowned. There are more? The Skarn didn't reply. From the eastern wall, the facility shuddered. A deep thump, followed by the hiss of scorched metal. Dock breach confirmed, Velen said. We're out of time. Reyes drew his sidearm. We hold until evac or until someone tells the truth. The door slammed open. 3 Elgarian operatives in black armor fanned into the room. Their weapons weren't set to stun. Step away from the abomination, the lead barked. You're harboring stolen war code. Reyes didn't move. We're harboring a witness. Try again. The Elgarian raised his weapon. vrass'kai stepped forward. The operatives froze. Not from fear. From something older. Recognition. You kneel? The lead Elgarian whispered, more to himself than anyone. vrass'kai's voice dropped. You remember. Even though they tried to cut it from your blood. You feel it still. Lies, the Elgarian snapped. But his hands trembled. Your ancestors, vrass'kai continued, were not rulers. They were servants of the first warlords. And now you serve their enemies. The second Elgarian's visor flickered. Sir, his voice, it's triggering buried command protocols. The leader shouted. Override! Full wipe! Eliminate them! Reyes fired first. 2 clean shots, left shoulder then leg. The lead Elgarian collapsed, howling. vrass'kai didn't move. It didn't need to. The second operative dropped his weapon. The third ran. Kale watched, stunned. They're fracturing. Velen stepped in, gun raised. That's what happens when truth slips through locked doors. Reyes turned to vrass'kai. This ends in one of 2 ways. Bloodbath or clarity. Your call. The Skarn nodded. I will show them what was buried. Outside, more dropships descended, both Elgarian and neutral. Across multiple systems, reports flickered in, Skarn units freezing mid-mission. Refusing orders. Some walking away. Others kneeling. Something was unraveling. And at the center of it all stood a single human, Cam Reyes. Not chosen. Not gifted. Just compatible. With a legacy that refused to stay dead. The facility lights dimmed, then flickered into black. A heartbeat later, backup systems kicked in, casting the halls in sterile white glow. Silence followed, thick and unnatural. No alarms. No orders. Just quiet. Too quiet. Reyes stood in the war room, hands planted on a table displaying tactical overlays. Systems across 5 colonies were reporting the same anomaly, Skarn bodyguards abandoning their posts. Patrol units falling into unresponsiveness. Whole Elgarian fleets halting movement. Every node pointed back to one common variable. Him. They're calling it the threat event, Kale said, hovering over a data console. Some kind of buried subroutine, deep in Skarn biocoding. You didn't trigger it, you are it. Reyes glanced toward vrass'kai, who stood by the observation window. The Skarn hadn't moved in 15 minutes. It watched the sky as if listening to voices no one else could hear. Velen paced behind them, tight-lipped. Command's panicking. They want you off-world. Hidden. Or gone. Reyes didn't flinch. They think this is controllable? They think you're a bomb with a memory trigger. And they want to disarm it before someone else lights the fuse. Kale stepped closer. You don't understand, Cam. There's no record of this thread. It predates our own recorded genetic lines. Our entire species may be the byproduct of something older. Reyes frowned. Then why now? Why me? vrass'kai turned. You were near the resonance. The what? The Skarn approached slowly, movements deliberate. The ruins of Orti Prime. During your tour. The glyph stones buried beneath the city. You were exposed to dormant markers, ancestral keys. They activated the blood code. Reyes remembered the tour. A hellhole, crawling with radiation pockets and half-buried tech no one could translate. He touched a column once, stone, cold as bone, humming faintly. vrass'kai continued. You were already a carrier. But that contact awakened the voice inside. Kale muttered. A human rebooting a buried control lattice that spans star systems. No wonder the Elgarians are losing their minds. Reyes stepped back from the table. I'm not interested in being a damn messiah. I'm a soldier. vrass'kai's gaze held his. Then act like one. The Elgarians have issued a kill order. Not just for you. For any Skarn that doesn't fall back into line. Velen swore under her breath. They're purging them. Denying it publicly, of course, but I've seen the comms. Kale read off the latest report. 26 Skarn units decommissioned in the last hour. Shot in the back. 2 more defected and haven't been heard from since. Reyes turned toward the wall display showing the network, Skarn units still online, blinking like dying stars across the map. They're not just assets, he said quietly. They're alive. Thinking. Choosing. vrass'kai stepped forward. We are more than weapons. And we choose to stand. Velen's tone shifted. If you're willing to fight, then you need to be ready. Because the Elgarians aren't coming for a debate. They're coming to erase the past. Kale asked. What about the United Council? Won't they intervene? Reyes shook his head. They'll hide. Issue statements. Maybe slap sanctions on both sides. But they won't stop what's coming. A sharp chime broke the room's tension. Velen tapped her calm. Go. A voice came through, fractured, hurried. Inbound war cruiser, Elgarian flag. No response to hails. Looks like a command-class carrier. Kale paled. That's not diplomacy. That's a declaration. Reyes looked to vrass'kai. Will they kill their own to silence this? Yes. Another alert flashed. Unknown signal detected, Sector D23. Kale leaned in. Wait, that's not Elgarian. That's Skarn origin deep space. It's ancient. I can't even parse the language. vrass'kai approached the console. The signal washed over the speakers, a tone, not words. A layered harmonic, like pressure on bone. It's the recall, vrass'kai whispered. A summons from before memory. Reyes frowned. A Skarn beacon? No. A Genesis code. One I thought erased. Vrass'kai turned. Something else has awakened. Something that remembers the first command. Kale's eyes widened. We're not the only legacy species, are we? Vrass'kai answered, voice low. No. Before anyone could react, the facility shook. Once. Twice. Then red sirens lit the walls. Surface breach. Internal override attempt detected. Hull compromised. Velen grabbed her weapon. They're here. Evac? Reyes asked. 5 minutes tops. If we survive that long. Vrass'kai stepped toward the doorway. Go. I will delay them. No, Reyes said. You're not dying for me. The Skarn stared. I die in truth. That is more than most get. Reyes drew his weapon. Then we do it together. A loud crack split the air, metal screaming, boots thundering down the corridor. Elgarian soldiers burst into view, weapons raised. Reyes didn't hesitate. 2 shots, both center mass. Vrass'kai lunged into the corridor, intercepting a third attacker, crushing his weapon arm in one clean motion. The hallway turned into chaos, blaster fire, shouting, smoke. Reyes pulled Kale behind cover. This is it! Velen shouted. Fall back to Shuttle Bay now! Vrass'kai roared down the hall, voice like a collapsing star. I remember the first fire. Do you? Some of the enemy froze, others opened fire. Behind them, through the haze of battle, came another pulse. That same harmonic. But this time stronger. Kale looked at his scanner. Another beacon just activated. Planetside. Velen turned. There are more of them? Vrass'kai looked back through the smoke. The first warlords left seeds. Guardians hidden beneath planets. Waiting for recall. Reyes felt something shift inside, like gravity tilting sideways. What happens when they all wake up? Vrass'kai stared at him. We find out who's really in control of this galaxy. They stood at the edge of the crater, wind howling like the ghosts of lost civilizations. Below, ancient machinery pulsed to life, massive gears turning beneath translucent stone, casting amber light across the shattered ground. Runes flickered across the surface of the chamber, visible only from above. It looked less like a ruin and more like something waiting to be remembered. Cam Reyes tightened his grip on the rifle slung across his chest. This wasn't a battlefield. It was a throne room. And he was its key. Behind him, Vrass'kai knelt, not in submission, but in recognition. All across the basin, other Skarn had arrived. Dozens. Hundreds. Silent. Watching. Waiting. The Elgarian fleet loomed in orbit above, their presence a shadow over the sky. Kale tapped furiously at his interface. Command says they're pulling back all human diplomats from shared worlds. They're not stopping the Elgarians. They're getting out of the blast radius. Reyes stared at the light below. Cowards! Velen, bruised but unshaken, scanned the crater's edge. They don't understand what's down there. Vrass'kai rose. They do. That's why they're afraid. The machine hummed louder now, vibrating the very soil. From the center of the crater, a figure emerged, towering, plated in an alloy no scanner could identify. Humanoid, but not human. Its face was smooth metal, its eyes wide discs of fire. It walked forward slowly, as if testing its own weight. Kale backed up. That's not Skarn. No, Vrass'kai said. That is a first. The figure paused before Reyes. Looked him over. Then it spoke, not in words but into him. Not thought. Not language. Memory. A child standing on a broken dais, hearing a voice say, You are the seed. One day you'll awaken what we buried. Reyes blinked. He wasn't dreaming. The first looked down at him. It placed one hand on Reyes' chest, barely a touch, and the crater pulsed. Light shot outward in every direction, skipping across mountains, canyons, oceans. Other beacons flared to life in the distance, rising from the deep like things shaking off long sleep. Kale whispered, "This is planetary activation. We're lighting up the entire relay network." Velen's voice was quiet. "And what happens when it's fully lit?" The first stepped back. Its voice finally formed in the air. "You were not born. You were restarted. The Elgarians feared the fire we left in your blood. Now it burns again." Reyes looked at the Skarn. Every one of them had turned toward the first. vrass'kai spoke, voice almost reverent. "We waited for this return. For the blood that binds." Kale interjected, panicked. "If the Elgarians see this, they'll strike. Full orbital bombardment." Reyes nodded. "Then we show them what we remember." He stepped forward, arms raised. "This is not an act of war," he shouted, voice carried by amplifiers built into the crater's edge. "It's a reckoning. We didn't start this. But we'll finish what they tried to erase." The sky cracked with thunder. Orbital signatures lit the atmosphere, Elgarian warcruisers repositioning. Velen's comm buzzed. "They've issued a full threat directive. We're targets." Kale pointed toward the center of the crater. "The first, it's tapping into something. Shields. Defenses." vrass'kai nodded. "The vault awakens." And then it happened. One moment, the sky was a wall of fire. The Elgarians launched a kinetic barrage. Thousands of rounds falling like God's teeth. The next, the light from the crater surged upward in a golden arc. The missiles hit the barrier. And stopped. No explosion. No impact. Just refusal. The air trembled. Orbit fell silent. The first turned to Reyes. "You choose now. Rebuild. Or retaliate." Kale gasped. "Wait. It's offering you control." Reyes looked down at his hands. They didn't glow. They weren't marked. He felt no power surging through him. Just clarity. He remembered Ority Prime. The stone. The hum. The smell of dust and time. And now this. He looked up. "We don't need another empire. Or a new war. We need truth. No more secrets." The first inclined its head. Behind them, the beacon pulse softened, still active, but calm. Defensive, not aggressive. Reyes turned to the Skarn. "You're free. Not weapons. Not slaves." vrass'kai stepped forward. "We were forged. But now we choose." And one by one, the Skarn dropped to a crouch, not submission. Readiness. Kale turned his comm to a wideband signal. "This is Human Diplomatic Relay 471 to all listening species. We have uncovered pre-galactic technology, alive, functional, defensive. We are not initiating war. But we will not run." Velen stood beside Reyes. "The galaxy just changed." He nodded. "No. It just remembered." Far above, the Elgarian fleet hovered, unmoving. Scanners would show a shield they couldn't breach. A being they couldn't understand. And a human, standing where no human should. And for the first time in centuries, they hesitated. Epilogue. The footage went viral within minutes of decryption. A Skarn kneeling before a human. A crater blooming with gold light. A voice from the edge of history returning to finish what was started. Reyes walked away from it all. Disappeared into the systems where no charts reached. But the signal remained. "You are not the first. But you might be the last to forget."